O perfect love that will not let us go, be with us this hour. Infuse us with your Holy Spirit. Enfold us in your loving arms, and bid us never to forget that wherever 2 or 3 are gathered together in your name, there you will be in the midst of them. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. This first song is an old hymn, but I'm not sure if everyone may know it. So Megan is going to play it through once, and then we'll stand and sing it. Sit down. Oh, mine's on warning. So much wax here, can't hear anything, and not much is coming out of this year. So it's going to be interesting. But good morning and welcome to Temenos, where we honor all paths of spiritual journey. And though the baby surface of a spiritual practice may be different, the roadbed is an abiding love is an abiding faith in the universal love of the divine. The hymn we just sang speaks of Jesus' love. But how did he go about delivering that message? In the jargon of Madison Avenue, how did he reach his target audience? He engaged in learning discussions with the religious leaders of his time. He preached to the multitudes, but he also told stories that even an uneducated person could understand and remember. We call them parables, short, simple stories with a moral lesson that could be drawn, like this one from Luke 15.
This is the parable of the prodigal son. And he said, there was a man who had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me. And he divided his property between them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country. And there he squandered his property in reckless living. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed pigs. And he was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs eat, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.' And he arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. And bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, 'Your brother has come home, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound.' But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him. But he answered his father, 'Look, these many years I have served you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him.' And he said to him, 'Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this your younger brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found.'"
Now, when I looked up to find an English version of this, there was some commentary that was sort of interesting. This was the last of 3 successive parables, all with the same theme. The parable of the lost sheep. If you've lost one sheep, he goes out and finds it, celebrates. The woman who lost the coin, same thing, found the coin, celebrating the neighbors. The last one, a little more personal, because now it's not a material possession, but actually the father's son. But the same idea, the son was lost, came back, and was welcomed by the father. And you could sort of get the overall point, or expand it and say, all right, the father could be considered like God the Father, and the son could be considered all of us. But the interesting thing was, why didn't Jesus stop the parable then, with the joy of the father receiving his son? Instead, he goes on and introduces the other son, the older son, who's kind of a little miffed at what's going on. And he's saying, look, I'm the eldest son, I'm entitled to all this stuff, you haven't really made any fuss over me. Why are you making such a fuss over this guy who broke tradition, took his inheritance early, went away, wasted it all, came back, and now is trying to get back into good graces? But this commentator said this probably represented, in a way, the Pharisees. The Pharisees were very learned in the law, probably to the point that they were more hung up on the letter of the law than the spirit behind it. And that's sort of represented by the second son. So look, I followed the rules. I'm the first son. I'm entitled to stuff. What's going on? And what the Lord is trying to show us that, yes, I am with you, and all that I have is yours, but still, this was a person who's lost and has come back, and that's worthy of celebration. But I think in the end of the first of the 3 parables, they said there's more, I'm going to say, glory in heaven over one sinner who repents than 99 who need no repentance. But since none of us are perfect, we're all the one, not the 99. So at this point, let us join our voice in the hymn or the song, Spirit of Life. We talked about stories as being a medium for transferring information. And of course, in the less technical societies, that was the primary way that people passed down their customs, their beliefs, from generation to generation. And not too long ago, we had a slight recurrence that's slightly before my time. Before television, before the internet, back when radio was king, in the 30s and 40s, people would gather in the living room, sit around the console radio, and listen to radio dramas where you had to provide the images. All you got was the audio. And we're going to bring you back to that time now. Put the glasses back on. So just ask you to sit back and let your imagination provide the images, or recall the times when maybe you sat in a circle and listened to your teacher reading a story during quiet time in kindergarten or elementary school. So make yourself comfortable. Those at home can really get comfortable if you want. And we'll present to you Bunnies and Boats.
Bunny is the best bunny in the universe. All four of her children Tom, Bubba, Tina, and Sal know that. But she's scared. No one knows for sure if the island is sinking or the water is rising, but every bunny knows it's bad. She looks over the ocean, worrying about their future. Out of the corner of her eye, she notices words in the sand by the edge of the water. Things are not always as they appear. Our choice is faith in love or fear. As she finishes the last word, a wave washes over the message, and it is gone. She hops along the familiar but overgrown path. Only one rabbit could have written those words. Once she smells grandfather's hut, she slows down, takes a deep breath, and does her whisper walk, silent and slow. Though it has been many years, each sniff brings back a memory.
Grandfather hops out. Bunny, my child, what if the elders see you here? And sniffs the air.
We have bigger problems to worry about.
When was the last time worry solved a problem? Grandfather likes questions.
Bunny thumps her back leg. This is serious. The water is rising or the island is sinking.
Grandfather sighs. So they finally let the other news about the rising.
Bunny nods her little head, surprised that Grandfather would even know about the rising.
Grandfather licks his paws. Those who focus on their fears tend to live in wasted years. When something is important, Grandfather likes to rhyme. It helps Bunnies to remember.
But we have to focus on the rising. Everything is changing, and changing fast. Bunny wiggles her nose.
There is a world of difference between focusing on a problem and solving it. Grandfather grooves Bunny. Life would be slow without problems to outgrow.
Are you kidding? Life would be great without problems. Bunny does a small hop.
For 3 years you have not visited my hut, but the rising, what you perceive as a problem, brought you back to me.
Bunny scratches at the dirt. I thought about you all the time, Grandfather, but the elders...
Hush. Guilt is a useless emotion, and so is focusing on a problem.
Bunny is confused. But if the water is rising, how can we not focus on that problem? We could all drown.
Are you focusing on the problem, the challenge, the solution, or the gift? Grandfather pulls a weed from the garden.
Bunny Island is sinking. Who cares what I'm focusing on?
Just humor this old rabbit. Is your focus on love or fear?
Bunny shakes her tail. How do I know?
How do you feel?
Scared.
That's fear, my dear.
Bunny thumps her back leg. But my children could all drown. I am supposed to be scared.
Being scared does not serve you or your children. When we are scared, our thoughts become tangled in our fears, and we lose our ability to respond in the moment. Some bunnies actually like not being response able. Grandfather licks his paws. Fear becomes their excuse, and it drowns their love.
And what if we see it as a challenge? Bunny hopes there is a better option than drowning.
Grandfather pulls up a big carrot. Can you imagine Bunny Ball without a goal or an opponent?
Bunny smiles. That would be silly. It would just be a bunch of bunnies hopping around for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what life would be without the challenges that help us discover who we are. Grandfather rakes between 2 rows of lettuce. If we saw the challenge of scoring a golden bunny ball as a problem for us to fear, the game would stop being fun.
Bunny starts to understand. And if we imagine only problems in our life, then we stop being fun.
Exactly again. Fear tangles up our thoughts because we focus on what we ultimately don't want. In the moment, it may feel like we want the drama or the anger, but everybody knows that is not a happy path. Grandfather sniffs the air. With love, we become resourceful. Resourceful means once again full of source. It may not happen on our timetable, and it may not make sense to us in the moment, but the high hair always gives us just what we need for our growth. Grandfather pulls up another carrot.
But isn't fear good sometimes?
Grandfather nods. If you are fighting for your life, fear can save a bunny. But there are no more wolves or pirates on the island. Fear sees only 2 options, fight or run. Since we are not big fighters, most bunnies spend their lives running from one problem to the next. Know this, my child, the high hair would never give you a challenge you could not handle.
Bunny lowers one ear. And I wish the high hair had less faith in me.
You are funny. Grandfather thumps his back leg. The bigger the challenge, the more we should celebrate. The size of our challenges shows the size of our thought and our heart. A small thought might be, how can I find my carrot today? As our love grows, we might think, how do I make sure that the whole tribe is fed this year? He notices his grandchild. You, dear bunny, want to save the whole island from the rising. That is a big thought. That is a lot of love. He notices his grandfather writes in the mud with the other end of his rake. If we have the resolution, there is always a solution.
This was all starting to make sense, but I still don't understand how to stop the rising. Bunny sits on the ground with her head in her paws.
We cannot control everything in the world, but we can control our response.
How does a mother respond when all of her children might drown?
Is that your only choice? Or is that the only option your fear allows you to see?
What can I do to save them, Bunny pleads?
Grandfather smiles. You could all just float away in boats.
Boats? That is silly, Grandfather. Everyone knows that a bunny in a boat won't float.
Never let your fears close your bunny ears.
I am not scared, Bunny puffs out her little chest.
Grandfather smiles. We originally came to Bunny Island on boats, but the elders don't talk about that anymore. Boats are not good or bad, right or wrong. They just transport what we put in them, like our thoughts. Remember, Bunny?
I know. Things are not always as they appear, and choice is faith in love or fear. Still thinking about her talk with Grandfather, Bunny hops up to her son. What are you doing?
Practicing holding my breath, Bunny says with his cheeks full of air.
Why?
So when the rising happens, I won't drown.
Bunny hops away. This is worse than she thought.
Bubba builds a tall tower. He stands proudly on top. So when the rising happens, we can all be safe up here.
Tina sits serenely in the lotus position. I envision the water receding, lower, lower.
Sal passes out buttons that read, "Stop the rising now." He hops from bunny to bunny. I just know we can tackle this problem. Sal playfully tackles his mother to the ground.
Bunny shakes off the sand and stands tall. This is serious. We can't hold our breath, or live on a tower, or hope, or just wear buttons. We have to find a solution together. Bubba, you are the best builders. What can we build together to solve this?
I have been thinking about this ever since the rising began. All I can come up with is a boat.
Tina, Sal, and Tommy roll in the sand laughing. Oh, Bunny in a boat won't float, they howl.
Bubba looks sad. That's why I built the tower. I know that boats and bunnies are bad.
Why? Their little ears all turn toward their mother, who continues, why can't a bunny float in a boat?
They stare, too shocked to speak. Finally, Tommy wiggles his lips. Mommy, boats bring death and smelly breath.
No, the boats brought death during the time of our great-great-grandfathers. The only boat we have ever seen is the old shipwreck. None of us has ever been on a boat. They sailed away generations ago. Where did they go? Tina raises one ear. Maybe to an island that is not sinking. Bunny looks at Sal, who is the leader of her children.
I am not getting in a boat that won't float. Sal lowers his ears.
Boats are scary, Tina nuzzles with Tommy. Bunny stands on her hind legs. Things are not always as they appear. Our choice is faith in love or fear. Tina looks up. What does that mean? It means that we can imagine boats as scary or fun. None of us has been in either one. Imagination creates sensation. We get no carrots for being afraid, so let's imagine the boat as our aid. Bunny smiles, proud to speak like her grandfather.
You sound like great-grandfather, Bubba bows low, front paws on the ground. Oh, great teacher, be our preacher. The bunnies roll in the sand, laughing their tails off. He was banished from the tribe because he couldn't get the vibe. Sal rolls on his back. He likes to rhyme all the time. Tommy moves with the words.
Crazy, sort of hazy. He would say we're all too lazy. Tina throws herself down on the ground. They laugh and laugh, rolling in the sand. Bunny hops slowly back to the beach, her favorite place to think. She is sad and frustrated. Her children should not laugh at her. She looks down and sees the writing in the sand. What battles are fought when you believe that thought? The wave washes across the words. Bunny hops slowly back up the path.
Oh, great teacher, be our preacher, Grandfather hugs Bunny. That is funny. We often take on the role of teacher when we fear being the student.
But my children are teasing me.
Grandfather raised one ear. So?
Bunny licks her paws. But I'm their mother.
And they are your teachers. What lesson could they be offering?
But they are silly and mean, and they hate their mother.
Really? Is that what you believe? Grandfather sweeps the porch.
No.
Grandfather sits down next to Bunny. What battles are fought when you believe that thought?
Bunny gets up and hops in a slow circle. I guess if they are silly and mean, then it's okay for me to be frustrated and sad.
Grandfather licks Bunny's fur. The choice is always open and love or close and suffer. If you didn't hide your frustration, who could you be in this situation?
Open and free is a great way to be, Bunny smiles at a rhyme, but I still feel disappointed. Bunny pulls a sticker out of Grandfather's fur. My children are laughing at me, and at you. Did I raise them wrong?
We only choose wrong when we silence their song. We men are always like the tune or the words, but we have to let them sing. My life is my song. Laughter was their choice in that moment. You have every possible response in the universe open to you, and you choose disappointment? Grandfather sits down on the step. Disappointment is your belief that the high hair does not know what the high hair is doing. When we are full of source, we find solutions. When we are full of ourselves, we create problems. Maybe your children's teasing is exactly what you need in this moment. Grandfather writes in the dirt. Our uniqueness is removed when we live to be approved. Grandfather smiles. So they laugh at us. Did you ever think how hard it must be to be related to a couple of outcasts like us? What if we turn it around and we laugh at us?
Why would we laugh at us?
Because it is impossible to laugh and be depressed at the same time. Grandfather tackles Bunny and starts their favorite game of bunny jump. They hop over each other, falling, laughing, and playing. Bunny forgets all about being disappointed. They lay flat on the cool earth. Their bellies tired from a good laugh. Grandfather nudges Bunny. Do you understand the meaning of faith?
Do you mean the way most bunnies see it, or the way you see it, Grandfather?
Well, let's look it up on the dictionary.
Faith, a belief in things unseen.
Grandfather continues. In any situation, we can have the faith of what we love or the faith of what we fear. Both are unseen. Both are our choice. Fear creates stress, worry, and anger. But love is always on the other side of fear, waiting like the green sprouts that hint toward the juicy carrot growing below. Challenges help bunnies discover where they are focusing their faith.
So any problem can be a gift? Bunny sniffs the air.
Yes, everything is a gift. The high-haired loves us so much that we have the choice to love or fear any situation.
So sickness can be a gift?
One bunny becomes terrified by the fear of dying. Another bunny learns to appreciate and love life. The sickness is the same. The focus of their faith is different. No matter the situation, the difference is you. Grandfather licks Bunny's fur.
Well, what about the bunny wars? How can any bunny have faith and love when they are surrounded by such violence?
The high hair is all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-loving, right?
Yes. Bunny always gets nervous when Grandfather starts asking questions.
So you think the high hair makes mistakes?
No. I mean, yes. I don't know. Bunny is even more confused now. Why would the high hair want war?
The high hair provides the perfect environment for us to discover who we are. Sometimes for bunnies to truly understand something, we must experience the opposite. If it exists in the world, there is always a gift. Be grateful for everything. That is the key to being happy.
So I should just accept war and violence?
My child, simply end the war of violent thoughts in your own mind. That is the first step to ending war in the world. Grandfather nuzzles up the bunny. War will exist until the lesson it holds no longer serves our faith.
No bunny has faith in war.
If that were true, war would not exist.
So bunnies have faith in the rising?
Oh yes, it is all they talk about, think about, and dream about. But their faith is focused on fear, not love.
What is there to love about the rising?
My child, the rising brought you back to me. Who knows what other treasures it holds? The bigger the challenge, the bigger the gifts. Grandfather leans against his little hoe. But most bunnies just focus on the problem. And what do we get in life?
What we focus on is what we live upon, Bunny sighs.
Grandfather smiles. Are you tired of hearing this?
Ever since I was a baby, you whispered that into my ears over and over again.
We repeat the same mistakes until we learn their lesson. And I repeat the same phrases until you learn their meaning.
Bunny lies down on the cool earth, resting her chin on her paws. So what does it mean?
You understand that inside the heart of every bunny is pure love, right?
Yes.
What you may not understand is that around the heart there is a contest between love and fear.
Bunny sits up. A contest? In us?
The one we feed. Grandfather nibbles on some lettuce.
What do you mean, feed?
An emotion is fed by our attention. The more we think about it, the stronger it gets. Grandfather eats a piece of parsley. At first, even our dark thoughts are as light as the thread of a spider. But with time and attention, each one binds to the next, becoming sticky and tight around our love. No bunnies have bad hearts. Some just can't get tangled up in a web of fearful thoughts.
Bunny starts to understand. So we can have faith in either love or fear.
Exactly. Some bunnies worship their fear. Sacred and scare are almost the same word. The difference is love or fear.
And it's always our choice?
You got it. Grandfather sits down on his favorite rock. Each time we share love, a thread of fear melts away from the pure heart of every bunny. Before you end your day, ask yourself, did I remove a thread before going to bed? Do this each day, and soon you will have only love in your life.
Bunny ponders grandfather's words as she hops back to the beach. And now let us do the same as we look to the Lord in prayer.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, give us, we pray thee, fresh life for this fresh day. Help us to meet this task with cheerfulness and courage, its difficulties with justice, tact, and kindness, its trials with patience, its joys with gratitude to thee. Give us a heart to share thy dear gifts with those about us, and every hour to find gladness in thy service. And grant us ever such a humble trust in thee, that we may perfectly rest in thine everlasting arms. Amen. Dear Lord, we especially pray that your divine love and support be present with the following people during the time of need. And you may either mention names or just hold them in your heart.
My friend Joe, his brother Ed just passed away very suddenly last weekend.
My father, Bob, he was dealing with illness.
For all those impacted by the horrible floods over in Europe.
Or my friend Kate, who is unexpectedly pregnant, not sure what to do. My partner Sarah, who is on her way to get her last cat put down. Which is very sad.
Our Aunt Joan, who's in assisted living, she has some dementia, and sadly it has her confused and kind of angry and definitely not happy.
And now let us pray in the words that the Lord Jesus taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And now let us return to Bunny Island and finish the story of bunnies and boats.
Bunny builds her boat on the beach alone. The waves grow and the winds blow, but Bunny builds on. Written in the sand is, we are responsible, only in this moment. Too far away to notice the message, her children watch and whimper.
She is crazy, just like great-grandpa. Sally worries about their future. It's in our genes. How embarrassing. Tommy compares his brown fur to his mother's black and white, wondering how much of this craziness is in him. Bubba stands up. Mother Bunny is building a boat. I've seen it all now.
I'll never be invited to the bunny bowl with our crazy mother, Tina chews on a cat.
Sal pulls it out of her mouth and runs down the beach. Bunnies hop after her. Steal the carrot is one of their favorite games.
Bunny bravely pushes her boat toward the water. Her children hop over as they finish the last bits of the carrot.
Bubba hangs on the side of the boat. It's built all wrong. Tommy looks worried. The waves will smash you.
Stop and breathe with me, Mommy. Tina closes her eyes in meditation.
Sal crosses his paws. A bunny in a boat won't float.
Bunny pushes into the water, jumps on top of her little boat, and stands on shaky legs. She gets her balance, looks up, then raises one paw in the air. A bunny in a boat floats. A bunny in a boat floats.
Her children do binkies on the beach.
Bunny is so excited that she hops up and down. The boat tips to one side, then the other. Then a huge wave crashes over the boat, tossing Bunny under the water. Her children all jump in the ocean to save their mother, forgetting that none of them know how to swim. They hop and gasp and climb on top of each other till they reach Mother Bunny, pulling her out of the waves. She catches her bunny breath on the beach and stands tall on her hind legs. A bunny in a boat floats. Our greatest fear is conquered here.
The old chant, our greatest fear is conquered here. Our greatest fear is conquered here. They dance in a circle, paw to paw. The children thump the sand with their back legs as they notice the elders marching toward the beach to investigate the noise.
Bunny hops up excited. A bunny in a boat floats.
The old gray rabbit looks down his long nose. What did you get except all wet? Our laws protect us from our flaws.
Whether Bunny still suffers from the cold water, or her brain does not yet have enough oxygen, so no one will ever know. But she stands right up to the old gray rabbit and says, for generations, we've had declarations and accusations that bunnies in boats don't float. I floated. Our greatest fear can be conquered here.
The other rabbits thump the ground in protest. The old gray rabbit stands tall on his hind legs and raises his paw for all the bunnies to repeat. Success is to survive. We must fear to stay alive. Success is to survive. We must fear to stay alive. The bunnies chant from memory. This is the great truth, repeated at the beginning of every school day and before the hop-off of each game of bunny ball.
Bunny takes one step closer. Imagine if our fear that we hold so dear is all that keeps us from becoming clear.
Enough! You are banished from this tribe. The old gray rabbit points his paw down the beach. The other bunnies point and chant, alone till you atone, alone till you atone, alone till you atone. Bubba, Sal, Tina, and Tommy bury their heads in the sand. Their mother is banished.
Alone, I may believe, but together we must achieve. Bunny turns away. She knows that if her children follow, they too will be banished. She can't look in their eyes. As she hops down the beach, there is a message in the sand. Follow your path. Ignore the wrath. Bunny slowly hops up to Grandfather. But what if my path is wrong?
We only choose wrong when we silence our song, Grandfather Nuzzle's Bunny.
The water gets higher, and they make me a liar.
The elders have known about it for years, but if they acknowledge the rising and they have no solution, they fear losing control.
Bunny flops down on the dirt, but they are supposed to guide and protect us. If we all know about the rising, maybe we could all fix it.
There is great appeal for our leaders to conceal.
But if we continue this lie, we're all going to die.
That is one choice, if you hide your voice.
But I'm just one bunny. What can I do?
It is easier to awaken your power than to continue denying who you are. To create a shift, just share your gift.
Alone again, Bunny builds a boat on the beach. She remembers Grandfather's words. You proved that a bunny on a boat can float. Now expand your vision. The boat is much larger this time, so it can hold all of her children. The mother never loses hope.
As Bunny arranges the first pieces of wood, her children bounce up the beach. Mother, mother, we missed you. They all do binkies together.
But I am banished. By being here, you will surely be outcast too. We cannot live without you, Tina nuzzles her mother.
We're sorry for laughing. Tommy lets his ears drop a little. We love you so much. Sal chatters his teeth in happiness. Bubba looks over the layout for the boat. It's too small.
It should hold the 5 of us. Mother Bunny looks over the design.
But we need a boat big enough for the whole tribe, Bubba insists.
Bunny reminds her children, we are banished. They'll never listen.
When the water reaches their ears, they'll have to hear. Sal is always the practical one.
We need to protect ourselves. They can take care of themselves. Bunny crosses her paws.
Her children look at each other confused. That is not how you raise us, Mother Bunny. We have to help everyone. That is what you always said. Bubba stands on his hind legs.
A fun way of living is to share our joy by giving, Tina nuzzled her mother.
A high hair wants us all to share, Tommy smiles. This is what you taught us, Mother. Sal wiggles his tail.
She smiles. And now you teach me. It's okay, Mom. We all mess up sometimes, Tina nuzzles closer. Grandfather said that you were my best teachers. Let's build a ship.
Tommy does a binky. A bunny on a ship is hip.
They all chant, a bunny on a ship is hip. A bunny on a ship is hip.
Bubba raises his balls. Hold on. Before we build a big ship, we need to build some working models. The bunny has never built a boat.
Bunny smiles. I beg to differ.
No offense, Mom, but that was not much of a boat. Sal smiles back.
Tina jumps up. The sail should be huge so that it catches lots of wind and we can go super fast.
No, the rudder should be big and the sail small so that we can have better control, Sal contributes. Bubba writes some notes and hands out designs. Everybody works together.
The little boat with the huge sail is ready to test. Tina hops in, nervous. The bunnies hold the little boat in shallow water as Tina gets comfortable. When she is ready, they put the sail up and whoosh! Tina is moving, but the boat is going every direction. Tina can't control it at all. The bunnies scream from the beach, "Take down the sail! Take down the sail!" Tina is finally able to drop the sail. She holds both sides of the boat, trying to catch her bunny breath. The waves push her slowly back to shore. All the bunnies gather around. Tina, are you okay? That was one wild ride, Tina gasps. I couldn't control the direction at all.
That is why we need a large rudder and a small sail, Sal says proudly. Bubba looks at his designs. Well, Captain Sal, you're next. Hop in. Sal gets in his boat, puts up the little sail, and nothing happens. He is pointed in the perfect direction, but the boat barely moves. Sal is a little embarrassed as all the bunnies stand in the water, right next to his boat, just bobs up and down, going nowhere.
Bunny makes a decision. I will be right back.
Bubba looks at the waterline. Better hurry, we don't have much time. The rising has almost taken over the whole island.
Bunny rushes down the path, but as soon as she can smell Grandfather's hut, she stops, breathes deeply, and does her whisper walk, silent and slow. This place has always felt sacred to Bunny.
Grandfather hops out to greet her. How's the boat building?
My children are helping now, but we have a challenge. First, we built a boat with a huge sail and a small rudder. It went very fast, but Tina had no control. Then we built a boat with a small sail and huge rudder. Sal could control the direction perfectly. The boat did not move.
Grandfather laughs. You have just perfectly described two very different types of bunnies. Some bunnies are pure emotion. They bounce all over the place, moving quickly with no direction.
Like Tina, she bounces everywhere, excited about every new idea, but she rarely finishes anything.
Exactly. The other extreme is all logic, the rudder. These bunnies have perfect direction in life, but no movement. They're pointed right at their goal, but they don't go anywhere.
So the secret is to have enough sail to catch the wind and a big enough rudder to control the direction.
Yes, the direction of reflection needs the motion of emotion.
So Tina has to be more logical and Sal has to be more emotional.
If that is their choice, but they can also team up with their complements so they can both share their gifts. Sal and Tina would make a great team, just like Sal's big rudder and Tina's big sail would make one great boat.
We aren't building a boat. We're building a ship for the whole tribe. A bunny in a ship is hip.
I like it.
I'll come for you as soon as the ship is done.
Grandfather pauses at the groan. Whoa, I am too old to ride on the ocean. Save my space for the young ones.
Your wisdom is needed for us to build a new community.
Every gift waits aside for you to share when you decide.
You are my gift, Grandfather.
I live in you, my child.
When Bunny gets back, the whole beach is underwater. Her children race against the tide. A few more feet and there won't be a dry piece of dirt on Bunny Island. The ship is not even close to being done. Bunny explains about the sail and the rudder. The children listen, but their spirits are low.
Bubba stands on the frame of the ship. At this pace, we will never finish in time. We need another plan. Tommy looks around nervously. The island is sinking. There is no other plan. We sail or die.
Mother Bunny gathers her children. Let's not let our thoughts be tangled up by fear. The high air never gives us a challenge without also providing the tools to succeed. I feel so much love for each of you. I just know we'll be resourceful together. Tina sniffs the air. We could use the ship that brought the death and smelly breath.
Bubba looks sideways at his sister. The pirate ship? Sal sighs. Go meditate, Tina. You're talking crazy.
Bunny looks at the old shipwreck. Why not? It's plenty big enough, and it is still in pretty good shape.
Yuck, because it's in the sand. It's been stuck for 3 generations, and it's a ship of death. Bubba looks at his mom and his sister, wondering if all women are crazy.
Tina does a baking. The rising will lift the ship up off the beach. Bunny jumps up. You're right. We can do this.
I am not getting on the ship of death. Sal crosses his paws.
Bunny smiles. A ship just transports what we put inside. If we put in pirates, it might bring death. If we put in bunnies, it brings love.
Bubba looks over the ship. This could work. He thumps the hull with his back legs. It seems solid. We can do this.
Bunny gathers her children. You all work together. I'll get the others. Bunny turns to hop back to the village, but the rest of the bunnies are already there, watching in a line. Great, I was just coming to get all of you. We can all sail in this ship together. Bunny catches her breath.
The old gray rabbit huffs. The ship of death? Have you completely lost your mind?
This ship can save our lives.
And exactly where would you sail? The old gray rabbit folds his paws.
I don't know. Bunny looks at the ground.
So your plan is for us to board the ship of death and die lost at sea?
This ship gives us a chance. Stay here and you will all surely drown.
The old gray rabbit turns his back. The water will go down. A few of the other bunnies joined him in protest.
The rest of the tribe slowly moves over to help on the ship. They look back every few hops to see if they're in trouble. Most of the bunnies are now on board and working to fix the ship. Bunny jumps off the ship. I'll be right back. I have to get grandfather.
The old gray rabbit walks Bunny's path. He looks kind and puts his paw on Bunny's shoulder. Her grandfather died last year.
What? Bunny is confused.
Because he was Spanish, he did not tell you.
I've been talking with him for the last 2 days. You're just being mean. Bunny looks around. The other bunnies won't look in her eyes.
The old gray rabbit softens. Bunny, you and I don't see eye to eye, but I would never lie to make you cry. Your grandfather did die.
Bunny races by the old gray rabbit, past the other bunnies, and down the trail to grandfather's hut. This time she is too scared to stop, breathe, and do the whisper walk. His tombstone stands where they used to talk. Feeling all alone, Bunny leans against the stone. She reads the words carved in the granite. To create a shift, share your gift. Scratched in the dirt at the base of the stones is,
I live in you, my child.
Bunny lies down, her little paws wrapped around the bottom of the stone. Her tears gently wash away the words. She stays for a long time, maybe too long. When she hears the water rising, she slowly begins to move, small hops at first. Then she stops, takes a deep breath, and looks back at her grandfather's hut. She feels a warmness growing in her heart. The strands of fear melt away as she notices something carved into the wood on the porch.
Though you cannot see me, I am not gone. My light has simply drawn the brilliance of the dawn.
Bunny gathers all her strength and does a giant binky, knowing that inside of her, grandfather will always live.
The water is all around her now. She hops fast and high, but the ocean rises faster. Bunny can see the boat. She can hear her children yelling for her to hurry. The water is so high now, she has to bunny paddle. Though almost underwater, the old gray rabbit and his friends still stand proud.
Please come with us on the ship, Bunny pleads with them as she paddles.
We would rather die than live here lie. The old gray rabbit says this loud for a small group to hear, but none of them cheer. They begin to wonder as the little noses go under. One bunny quietly asks, "Can we still come on your ship?"
Yes, you are all welcome. Bunny paddles back, especially you. Bunny nuzzles the old gray rabbit, who shakes his head. I am a rabbit, I can't change my habit. They climb on board, wet and tired. Bunny is the last one on deck. She takes a deep breath. Her children are safe. The bunnies stretch to look over the back of the boat. The old gray rabbit paddles in circles alone. Remembering the wisdom of her children, Bunny stands on her hind legs. Turn the ship around.
Sal proudly adjusts his big rudder. Tina trims her giant sail. They swing back toward what used to be Bunny Island. Hanging off the side of the boat, Bunny reaches her paw deep in the water to grab the old gray rabbit and pull him on board. The bunnies stare at their former leader, wet and gasping for air. He shakes the water off his fur. Thank you. I was wrong. Any rabbit can change a habit.
Bunny yells, "No bunny left behind." And as they sail on to their next adventure, you can hear floating across the water, bunnies on a ship are hip. Bunnies on a ship are hip.
And accept, O Lord, these gifts of willing hearts, and grant us the wisdom to use them in thy service, for the building up of your church on earth and the spread of your kingdom throughout the world. Amen. Now let us stand and close our service with the song of community. Mother Rabbit saved her community. We're a community here. Let's rejoice in the love of that community. Megan will play the song through, and then we'll sing. Instead of me giving the blessing, I thought we could sing a benediction to each other using the words from Kristen Campbell's song, Grace. I think we know it from times past.
Grace
Now let our service begin.